Thanks for joining me in here today. If you've got this far, well, I'm going to take it as a sign that you're at least open to the idea that Adam and Eve aren't literally two people, that they are in fact symbols, that this story is an ancient allegory, and it's here to tell us about the development of our mind and help us along our spiritual path. We have in this story, well, basically three main things. We have the man, we have the woman, and we have the garden. And what you might not realize is that the Hebrew names here, the Hebrew words for Adam, woman, and the garden, they give us some insight as to what they symbolize. For example, Adam means people or humanity. It's not about an individual's name, so he's a symbol for all people. Eve's name means life. And what I want to show you in this video is it's not that we get life from her, but that we have our sense of life from her. She's basically our ego. And it's through our ego that we have this sense of life. The garden's about intelligence, and it's showing how Adam is living in a state of intelligence from God. That's a whole nother video for another time. But I want to focus, I'm going to skip ahead about the garden symbols and look at this process of the creation of the woman. It starts off, God puts Adam to sleep. And it happens that way because up to that point, Adam, ancient people, had this belief and knowledge that they were connected back to God, that they had life that came directly from God. But God puts him to sleep and he pulls out a rib. Now just think about a rib on a biological basis. A rib has very little value. You can live your entire life without a rib and it's just not a big deal. It's not like you're missing a heart or a lung or your brain. You got nothing without those. But so God takes a rib and he's trying to show us that your ego really intrinsically has very little value. So he pulls this part out. God does his magic to it, and we have the woman. The woman that we fall in love with, right? So we love our ego. Okay, think about it in terms of later scriptures that says we're going to leave our father and our mother and cling to our wife. All right, well, that's a picture. We're going to leave your father, your God, you're going to leave your mother, your spiritual community, and cling to what? Yourself. This is actually also a metaphor for our life in the sense of we're little kids. We start out as little and we love mom and dad. Mom and dad are great. And then as time passes, what do? We leave father and mother and we cling to what? Our ego. Mom and dad are so stupid when we're teenagers, right? We've had that experience. They don't get smart again until many years later. But this is a picture of that's happening, that development of ego. And I want to show you this quote here from EMANUEL Swedenborg. He's an 18th century scientist, philosopher, theologian, and this is what he writes about this story. He says, and that the proprium, and proprium is just a Latin word, it means ego. He says that the proprium is meant by the woman may be seen from the consideration that the woman was the one who was deceived. For nothing but the proprium, or what amounts to the same self-love and love of the world, ever deceives a person. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this cat's onto something here. Swedenborg is a really smart guy. And if you don't know him, look him up. You'll find that he is listed as basically an all-time genius. Now, sure, it's not an exact science for ascertaining the IQ of somebody who's been dead for 250 years. Yeah, fair enough. But that he's even in this conversation is remarkable. This guy is really smart. And here's a screenshot from a website that has him ranked as the 18th greatest genius of all time. The guy's got it, all right? He's got the goods. And what he's trying to show us here is that, look, we fall in love with our ego and we never wake up. We never wake up from this delusion that we have life of our own. Think about it in some real life examples. When you're gossiping about somebody, right? You see yourself here, somebody else is over here, so you gossip and you're bang, 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 bang. You're knocking them down a few pegs. Why? Because you want to feel better about yourself, right? And that's your ego saying, oh, I gotta be the best. I gotta be the best. Or how about this one? This is one I like even better. You're arguing with your spouse, your girlfriend, whatever, and you're supposed to have a nice night out, it's going to be fun, and you start arguing over something stupid. And you prioritize being right over being happy. You've made a miserable night of the whole thing because you have some absurd notion that you're going to be happier if you're right, but yet being right is making you miserable. Why do we think being right makes us happy? We want to be happy. We don't want to be right. This is insanity. But that's what the ego does. The ego deceives us into thinking, you got to be the best. This happens in all sorts of scenarios where we compare ourselves to others. Oh, this guy's got a better job, they've got a better car, they've got a better holiday, whatever. It's all about the province of the ego trying to make us number one, and we are being deceived by it. That's what the woman is doing, because we are clinging to the illusion that we have a life of our own, and it's deceiving us and making us do stupid things. It prevents us from all sorts of growth, right? How can you be humble and learn from others and grow in life if all you're doing is clinging to this idea that you're number one? Robs you of all contentment because, well, you're always trying to be number one. And what we really should be doing is working on how to be content with the life that we have. And yeah, sure, make improvements, but being content with our lot goes a long ways towards being happiness. And the ego prevents that. I found this quote online. It says, "The death of the ego will be the beginning of your real life." And I think what this story is trying to show us is that actually the inverse is also true. That the birth of your ego is the death of your real life. So as this chapter ends, we know that there is trouble lurking. That serpent, well, it's a symbol too, because come on, we don't have talking serpents, not even back in ancient times. They did not exist, and that serpent did not literally talk to two people and fool them. So the serpent is clearly a symbol as well, and it's going to deceive the ego. This is why Jesus comes along later in the New Testament, and he says, "I'm the vine, you're the branches. Without me, you can't do anything." He's trying to wake us up from this delusion. He's trying to help us stop doing and saying stupid things that are only going to make us unhappy. You're gonna stop comparing yourself to others. Stop fighting, trying to be right when you know you're not. And look, don't get in all sorts of comparisons. It's just crazy. You don't need to gossip and do that stuff. I'm the vine. You have life from God. You have this appearance that you have life of your own. God's given you that because you are created in God's image and likeness. He wants you to have that feeling that you are a true creator like He is. And while it's a nice gift in a lot of ways, because you don't feel like you have life connected back to God, you feel like you're on your own, it does have its drawbacks as well, because that's something that we can do is create ego and an egotistical life. So I hope that helps you. I hope that makes some sense. If it doesn't, leave a comment. I'll try to re-explain it again. If you like it, click like, little thumbs up icon. I appreciate that. And if you want to see more videos like this, please do subscribe. I'll be doing this more frequently as I go forward and get more proficient at it. Thanks, all the best, and God bless.